Hello everybody and welcome back to Nitro Racing League here on NASCAR Heat 4 on the Xbox One. Today we have a race number 5 or 6 I believe of the season here at Dover International Speedway. We qualified P1, so we will be starting up front here on the pole for this race. And unfortunately it was kind of a wreck fest here in Dover. There's quite a bit of cautions in this one, but either way we would get lined up and get ready to go green. This is a 160 lap race. Now this still needs some clarification. Now you see there's 400 laps. Basically, we just have those extra laps thrown on there. That way we don't have to worry about if there's overtime or not. If we get overtime, then we can make it happen with these extra laps. Obviously, we're going to have 160, and you can see behind us they crashed in turns 1 and turns 2 on the opening lap of this race. So we ended up getting back going on lap 5, still from P1, but I should mention stage 1 was 40 laps, stage 2 was 40 laps, and then obviously the final stage would be an 80 lap stretch to the finish. Now as it came through on lap 6, heading down into turns 1, you won't believe what actually happened again. We would actually have another crash there as we came out of turn 2. Caution came out again, so it was certainly a rocky start to this race, but we actually came into the pit line, came out P2, and would get back going here on lap 9 of 160. So stage 1 ends once we cross the line to hit lap 41, and stage 2 ends once we cross the line to hit lap once we cross the line hitting lap 81 would be the end of stage 2, and obviously when we hit lap 161 in regulation without overtime, then that would be the end of this race. As you see, I went down into turn 3, and I got extremely side. It was almost, you would think that I got hit from behind from our teammate Matt, but no, I just completely lost the back end of the car. So a bit of a struggle on handling. I was running the first preset as you saw on the main screen, so I was running the tightest preset possible because we do not have custom setups in this league, because I feel like custom setups shouldn't even be allowed in competitive stuff like this, in my opinion. Now is the presets can really bring out the talent in some people. Now as we come through out of turns 4, we would get back to the inside of our teammate of Bryce, trying to make a pass for the lead on him. We would look to the inside of him through turns 1. Now on lap 20s we were moving our way back forwards, taking the lead just about as we came out of turn 2, still side by side though with Bryce. He doesn't want to give up that lead. Now as we go down into turns 3, the outside was a pretty big disadvantage. You could make it work here and there, but we would be able to take the lead on the bottom lane here on lap 20. So looking good now is obviously we've got 2 wins on the season. Our worst finish in the last 3 races was P2. There's I made a mistake on lap 23, hitting the apron out of turn 4, allowing Bryce to take the lead back, as me and him had actually driven away from the pack of cars at this point. But we came to lap 27. Bryce would actually come into the pit lane for a green flag pit stop. So on now lap 29, I come in, but we make a big mistake, and I actually got a speeding penalty here in the first pit stop, or first green flag pit stop of the day in Dover. We obviously got a speeding penalty back in Daytona, but I had to take 2 tires because I was afraid that if I took 4, we would go a lap down, therefore just kind of holding me back in that second stage. So I decided to just take 2 tires and hope that we get a caution before the end of this first stage. And sure enough, we came to lap 35 out of turns 4, heading down this front straightaway. Someone actually had an incident, and we would get a caution as we went down into turns 1. At this point, there was only 5 laps to go in the first stage. Now, as you see the field in front of us checking up, so we would come to the pit lane again, and we obviously were P7 at this point as everyone was getting ready to come into the pits here. Bryce was leading in the 18th, hoping that we could rally back. Sure enough, we came out of the pit lane in P5. This would set up for a 2-lap dash here in the end of this first stage. Now we got Justin in front of us in the 10, who's going to go up the inside of the 8 of RJ. They make contact, and he pushes RJ in the 42 of the track. In the 42 gets the worst part of it. He goes into the wall. That was Christian in the wall now, as we got Matt, our other teammate, going up the inside of RJ for P2, as we're going to come through on the inside of RJ out of turns 4, approaching now the final lap here in the first stage. But we went from a speeding penalty down to P7 to fighting for P3 on the final lap of the first stage. As we go down into turns 1, we clear RJ, who won at Bristol very recently for the first time in the Nitro Cup Series, but Justin holds on down the back straightaway into turns 3, and he would be able to hold on through the center of the corner because Matt didn't give him the bump or anything. Now as we come through out of turns 4, it was going to be P3 for us here in the first stage as we cross the line. So P3, 3 points for us. Very happy with that. If you don't remember, it's the top 5 that gets points in the stages. So solid points for us, and now we would get right back into the action here for stage 2. We came out P5, so we lost 2 spots on the pit lane, but we get back going. There you see our other teammate of Andrew in the 19 on our outside. Then you got the 2 of Smoke there as you go down into turns 1. Justin leads the way as we come out of turn 2 side by side with the 2 car now as Bryce is just behind us as we go down towards turn 3. Matt's going to get to the inside of the 10, and he is going to take the lead over here. As if you remember, he got a win earlier this season at Auto Club. Now as we exit turn 4, slipping and sliding around the track. But so far, myself and Matt are the only JGR drivers at least to get a win this season. Now as you saw the 2 leaders make a little bit of contact there to come through out of turns 2, and I hit the wall now on the exit of the corner as I was struggling quite a bit there on that restart now as I got really tight and hit the wall. Just a driver error on my part now as we actually came through on lap 46. We had ended up getting another caution, so we would have to line up again and see what we could do. We'd come out P3 though, and we didn't get restarted till lap 50 now as we would get going green. There was a few like kind of fault restarts. Basically, we had to kind of redo a few of them. Basically, if we go less than 1 lap on a restart and then we get a crash before we cross the line completing 1 lap, we basically just have to redo it. Even if you wreck though, you still have to go to the back. Now as we would actually get ahead of Andrew there on lap 53 for the lead, as it looked like he made a mistake as we went down into turns 1. So we would be back out front here now as we came through on lap 56. So our teammate again, if Bryce had actually gotten back to my inside here as Andrew was just behind us in P3. Now as you're slipping a little bit there on the exit of turn 4 side by side for the lead here as the stage ends on lap 81. So still a little bit over halfway to go in this second stage as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. And Andrew's going to push us up the hill and he puts us into the wall there as we exit turn 2. A little bit of a moment between myself and my teammate. Unfortunate for that happening, but I know that was not intentional on his part, so I didn't really care. There was the 8 and the 42. They made contact, so we got back in front of Christian there, and RJ was just in front of us. RJ would climb up to get the inside of Andrew, and then he hit the apron, putting Andrew in the wall. And now as we go down towards turns 3, Andrew and RJ are side by side, and Andrew just completely comes across the front end of the 8 car and wipes RJ out, and that would bring out a caution there as we came through out of turns 4 now. So unfortunate that happened. I wasn't quite sure why it happened because it was pretty evident that the 8 just kind of got his nose completely crossed over, and unfortunately he went around because of that. But we would get back up to P2 on the restart there down into turns 1, and we got in front of our teammate Bryce as we came out of turn 2. So now we take the lead back again, and we come through to lap 71. We had driven away from everyone, and then the caution came back out once again here with less than 10 to go in the stage. So we would all get our pit stops going and whatnot. We would not get going with a legitimate restart until lap 79, hitting lap 80. This would be just a 1-lap dash for the stage win, and something silly on my part is I completely forgot this was for the stage win. So I just came out of turn 2 and I hit the wall pretty hard, and I didn't even try to protect the lead because I completely forgot that it was the final lap of the stage, and I just kind of let the 42 get to my inside as we came through turns 3 and turns 4 side by side, but just struggling with handling on the exit. It would be the 42 of Christian winning the stage P2 for us here in stage 2. I realized down the back straightaway when we were side by side, I was like, oh wait, this is the final lap of the stage, and I knew I had made a pretty big error there, as that could have been an extra playoff point to us now, as we did get a bonus point, I should mention, for getting the pole. So we still at least got some bonus points so far in this race, but we've come out P2 for the start of the third and final stage now here in Dover, as we had been on this front row a couple times on the outside for restarts, and it's been going pretty well, so the restarts haven't been too much of an issue for us today now as we come through turns 1 and turns 2. Remember, this race will end on lap 161. The extra laps are just for overtime purposes if we need that to happen. Last episode, some people were like kind of complaining that I didn't show all the laps because it was like a 267 lap race, but we only did 100 and something, and we just had the extra due to the overtime purposes. Now as you saw me get very sideways on the exit of turns 2, and that would actually cost me as I let off the throttle to let RJ and Andrew go because I didn't want to take them 3 wide into the corner now, as it's pretty, you can see how it is going 2 wide through these corners sometimes now, so I didn't want to take it 3 wide. Now there's a big crash behind us. 18 of our teammate goes flipping over the wall into the pit boxes, and that's the big one behind us as a caution would come out. Only 4 cars came out of that one without any issues, so the big one strikes here in Dover behind us. It was certainly a mess when I was looking back on it from my behind view, and then on the restart, RJ got into the wall and bounced off of it and hit me, and now we're all of a sudden down here into P9, so this is kind of the first time, other than when we got that speeding penalty, that we were put back, and then we would, though, rally our way back forwards. We had climbed up to P5, passing Justin in the 10, and sure enough, just kind of continued to move our way forwards as we we were now approaching lap 100 at this point now as we went down this back straightaway, and it was a 42 of Christian at this point leading the way now as he was able to, remember, steal that stage 2 victory away from me as we would get to the inside of Matt on lap 100. Sure enough, he was actually pretty courteous and decided to just kind of let me take the position away, which is nice of him because there was a lot of drivers that were dealing with handling issues, so they weren't as fast and they refused to get out of your way because the inside is so important. So I think kind of the sportsmanship is something that needs to be worked on quite a bit in this league. Now it's come through on lap 102 behind Andrew as he got into the wall nearly, and he just came down right on me on the front straightaway. He clarified right away that he did not have any intentions to do that. He was just kind of correcting and holding on to the car, and unfortunately obviously the caution came up, but unfortunately we would have to do the next restart from the back of the field. At this point in the race, I was starting to get a little bit frustrated, I won't lie. It was, things just kind of started going wrong, and I was getting pretty annoyed at this point now as we went down into turns 3. This is now obviously on the restart. Justin was actually out front at this point now. As you see Jay there getting into the wall, he was struggling with handling this whole race. Certainly felt bad for Jay. He struggled in Kansas as well with handling, but we would work our way forwards. On lap 112, we had gotten to the inside of the 4 of Cameron as we came through turns 3 and turns 4 and tried to get clear of him, but couldn't make it happen. Then RJ's going to take us 3 wide. At this moment, I told him to back out because I knew it was a bad idea. Sure enough, you can see the result there as he hits the apron and slides up. I knew when he took us 3 wide, I was like, this is a terrible idea. And then we get hit in the wall there on the exit of turn 2 as he made a little bit of contact with Matt as we went down into turns 3. So, like I said, I was getting kind of frustrated at this point in the race. Now approaching the final 45 laps here in Dover, we got back to the inside of RJ, and we would be able to make a pass on him and take P6 once again away, and then try to get past the 4 of Cameron. He would get to the inside of the 10 of Justin as came out of turn 2 now on lap 119, and we would be able to follow through as well to take the position. Now, at this point, we were definitely faster than the 4 car, but I could not get past the 4 car at all as we came through now on lap 124. Still stuck right behind him as we came out of turns 4 as the 42 continued to lead, but there was something that would help us because you saw right there behind us, they just went crashing, and that would bring out a caution as we were running P5. Getting close, actually, to green flag pit stops we were, so that would bring out another caution, though, with about 35 or 36 laps to go. So we would have to obviously come back to the pit lane and get ready once again here to get going for a restart. So we would come out P5 and get right back into the action on lap 126, and just when you thought we had moved our way back forward, the 18 had a terrible restart, and all of a sudden we're back down in P7 as we went down into turns 1, and at this point I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, man. We finally got back up front, or not back up front, but inside the top 5, and then this happens now as we go down towards turn 3, up the inside of the 3 of MJ for the position, trying to get back up to P6 now as we came through the center of the corner. The 42 back out front of Christian as we exit turn 4. Cameron hits the wall a little bit there. It looked like as he came out of turn 4, we would get to the inside of him, and we would be able to take the position through the center of the corner now as he was struggling on handling this. The outside lane was such a disadvantage, and that's why everyone also did not want to give up that inside now as it came through on lap 129. So I certainly can't blame anyone for being in the way there, as you saw Jay in the 18 get into it there, and the 18 goes down into the inside wall pretty hard as we would go up the inside of Jay, and I was like, excuse me, coming through, we're going to just casually take P3 from this, and all of a sudden we're very sideways on the exit of turn 4, but we would hold on to the car. I was surprised there was no caution. I'm not sure why there wasn't a caution, but we would keep it green, and sure enough, within the final 30 laps now, we had closed in on the front 2. We got right to the back of Andrew and Christian as they went down towards turns 1. Here's where things start to get interesting now. As we go down into turns 1, Christian got hit on his screen, and then the 19 hits the apron and then hits Christian, and that puts him around behind us, and that would bring out a caution as we went down towards turn 3. And that's not the first time we've seen that type of stuff happen tonight, except this time the 42 seemed to be on a mission after that happened. Now as you would restart P2 beside Andrew, and I completely messed up myself on the restart because I was 100% expecting Andrew to play games on the restart, and this time he didn't play any games, and like I said, I was expecting him to play games, so I just messed myself right up now as we come through now with about 21 laps to go clear for P3, and we would get in behind Andrew, who had gotten past by Matt for the lead, and then we get our nose chopped a little bit to 42. He was not waiting around at all. He would pounce right on the opportunity to get to my inside, get into my left side, actually made contact with me as we went down towards turns 1, and now as he would be able to take the position away. So like I said, I was just getting kind of frustrated at this point now as we came through out of turns 2, heading down the back straightaway. just kind of been one of those races here today. Now as we get into the back of the 42, that was kind of intentional, I'm not going to lie. I just wanted to hit him. Now as came through out of turns 4 heading down that straightaway. He would end up getting to the inside of Andrew though, and then I decided I knew I had to take the opportunity here on lap 149. We were approaching just 11 laps to go as the 42 slides up in front of Andrew, and I think the 19 kept it out of the wall. Wasn't sure at this point, but we would get back up the inside of the 42 nearly, but he would hang on. But we came to lap 51, 51, now 10 to go. We had gotten up the inside of the 42 and made the pass on him, and here's our teammate Matt still leading. He got sideways, it looked like, so that allows me to pounce up on the outside. The outside really hasn't worked today, but I decided, you know, there's 10 laps to go. We got 2 wins on the season. We got to do whatever we can do here to maybe take the lead now, as now we come through down into turns 1, still side by side for the lead. The 42, definitely one of the fastest cars here. He's on a mission after getting wrecked for the lead. Now as we come through at a turn, through a little bit of contact with our teammate at Karma, but we take the lead and we would drive away. And Christian, he had gotten past Matt finally, but obviously he didn't have enough time to get anywhere near me as we came through now on lap 157, actually hitting the apron, making a mistake. But remember, the race ends once we hit lap 161, so I was just hoping no caution, please no caution. We come through, sure enough, white flag in the air here in Dover. We didn't win any stages. We obviously choked the stage 2 victory away. That was 100% ours, and then I threw it away to the 42, and then actually Christian made a mistake on the final lap, giving second to our 18 teammate of Bryce as we came through turns 3 and turns 4 for the final time. We would come through to get win number 3 on the season as we knocked down the wall for one final time as we crossed the line. Like I said, win number 3 on the season here in Dover. Now is certainly a frustrating race comes out with us on top, and Christian for some reason wasn't very happy after the race. He actually came up, you're going to see right here, he just comes up and just slams into me and puts me right in the inside wall, and then he disconnects right after that. So I wasn't sure what that was about because I don't remember doing anything to him. I guess maybe he was just kind of frustrated with how everything went down in the final 30 laps. But what a mess of a race it was, and we come out on top still, thankfully, now as we do the burnouts here after the race. So win number 3 on the season. We got a bunch of playoff points. I'm about to show you guys the point standings after Dover here. So obviously we don't have any worries about making the playoffs as long as we show up for the minimum required races. I'm not actually sure what the minimum is, but we hopefully will meet that minimum now. Is certainly really happy to get win number 3 on the season. I think the most wins I've gotten in a season is like 4 or 5. Something like that. I've only been obviously 3 full-time seasons, but there you see the points after the race. So we now got 19 playoff points. We got 48 stage points, 5 bonus points from poles and whatnot. And obviously our worst finish in the last 4 races have been second. Before that, we got an 11th and a 4th. So it wasn't a great start in the first 2 races, but we've really done well now. So that will do it for this episode. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have yourselves a great day. I'll see you in Mid-Ohio.